this is Jana. So you've completed the colorwork portion of the hat, and that's fantastic, especially if it's your first attempt. I hope it turned out well. I'd love to see your projects. Now we're ready to close up the hat, finish all that up, and weave in the ends, and then be done. So that's pretty amazing. Quick shout out to my patrons over on patreon.com/pearl together. These are people that support this channel financially, and in exchange for that, they have some extra perks. So a quick shout out to 3 of our patrons, Meghan McAfee, Margaret Sweeney, and Cindy Ceraolo. I really appreciate your support, and we wouldn't be able to bring you videos week after week without that. So if you're interested in learning about Patreon, the link is down below. Hop on over there and see what we're offering in exchange for your financial support. So let's get busy. Excellent. We finished the color work section, and now I have knitted the one plain row with the main color, and I'm to the section of the pattern where it says to begin the decreases. So note, if you're using circular, you may want to switch to double point at this time, because we're going to begin decreasing the number of stitches, and eventually the circumference of your hat will be too small. It'll be stretched too much to try to fit around a fixed circular needle. So since I'm using magic loop, I don't need to switch anything. I can just carry on with my magic loop technique. So we're, per the instructions, we're going to knit 14 and then knit 2 together. And I'll show you that real quick. And we're going to do that all the way around, so that we're going to have 1 stitch decreased for every chart repeat. All right, now we're just going to do the knit 2 together. Let me double check here. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Whoops, too many. Okay, now we're going to do the knit 2 together, decrease. So we're just going to go in as if to knit and do 2 of them together. And then we'll just continue knitting 14, knit 2 together all the way around. Now, if you come out wrong at the end, you should end your round with a decrease. And if you don't, it's likely that you just miscounted somewhere in one of these repeats. So in that event, this is another situation where it's really helpful to be able to learn to read your knitting, because you can look back and find the point at which you did the last decrease, which in my case is here. You can see that there's 2 stitches, 2 loops down at the base of that stitch. So that's where I did the last knit 2 together. So then you can just count forward and make sure that you have the correct amount. So continue on in that way. Just follow exactly what she has written there, where you knit 1 round plain, and then we'll do another decrease round, knit 1 plain, do another decrease round. Just keep track. You can make little check marks in the column of the pattern and keep track in that way. And then I'll show you how we're going to finish up. Okay, it's looking really good. I finished with my decreases. You can see there's the kind of swirl pattern going on there. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I've trimmed off a tail that's probably a foot long, maybe 10 inches. I just like a little extra for weaving in at the end without difficulty. So now what I'm going to do is just go underneath all of the stitches here at the end and just draw them up tight. I'm just going to go under each one with my darning needle here and draw them up. So since I'm using magic loop, I got to pull that through around. And then I'm just going to draw them up tight like you would a purse string. And then I'm going to weave them through around these last few stitches again. I want to do that more than once just to secure everything. So I'm going to draw that up pretty tight, and then you can see what I've got going on here. I'm going to pull that tight, and then I'm going to take my needle and go in around that circumference again. Then I'll poke the needle down through the center and turn the hat inside out, and then we'll finish up with weaving in all of the ends. If you go around more than once, it just makes it more secure. I think the yarn tends to kind of grab on itself, or the tail that you're weaving in here tends to grab on itself and cinch down tighter. I actually like to make a little bit of a knot on the inside, which I'll do in just a moment. Okay, so after I've gone around again, I'm going to find the exact center and go put the needle down through, being careful not to snag any strands, horizontal strands on the inside. And then I'm going to turn this inside out. And we'll go to work with finishing everything off on the inside. So first I just want to draw that through and snug that up. There we go. All right, now you can see where I've come in. I'm just going to go underneath a couple of strands here underneath a couple of stitches. And I've twisted this a little bit. There's my tail end. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is just pull that tail. Go ahead and pull that tail through. And then I've gone under and left a loop, and I go in again, and then I go around and in again, and then I'll cinch that down. Like that. Okay, so that's good and secure. Then I'm just going to go and find probably one of the lines where I did the decreases, where things are a little bit more thick, and I have a double loop. I can kind of run this down and hide it, being sure that it doesn't poke through the other side. I don't want to have a weird vertical strand showing on the other side. Helps to be on camera. Sorry about that. Okay, so now I'm going to go down through. Oh, I go a few inches down in. I like to make sure things are nice and secure. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and go back around, and that's pretty invisible. So we're done with that, and I'm going to trim that right there. All right, I've trimmed off the tail end at the top where we wove that in, and now I'm just going to go in and finish evening out my tension here and weaving in these two tails plus my cast on end. So the first thing I like to do is kind of put my hands in there and just give it a little stretch, and that kind of seems to even out the floats all the way around, just to make sure there's nothing puckered, and it even, if you have one that's a little looser than others, doing that tends to kind of even everything out. So what I'm going to do is just take my darning needle or my tapestry needle and work on weaving these in, making sure that my tail ends, especially since it's a lighter color, I definitely want to make sure that it doesn't show through on the other side. And so I'm just going to gently go in underneath one of these white floats, making sure not to go all the way through. I have my finger on the other side, on the inside, and I can make sure that I'm not going all the way through. I'm going to go up into this little float right here, and see where that white stitch kind of makes an arc and it kind of goes around like this and makes a half circle over the top. I'm going to go in and just follow that around. So you want to choose a darning needle or a tapestry needle that's, a diameter that will allow you to do that. So I'm just going to follow that white stitch up and around, and that will help to weave it in but also make it a little less visible. I like the inside to look as neat as possible, just like you would the outside. My tail's a little long there, so I'm just following. If you see this stitch here, I'm just following along, and I just want to make that duplicate. This is a similar way that you would do a duplicate stitch, as I understand it. I do not have much experience at all with creating duplicate stitches. Being careful not to pick up any of the darker color strands. Okay, so now I see where I've done that 3 or 4 times. But what I want to do is just double check. So I'm going to press my fingers together here so I know where that spot is. I'm just going to go and look and make sure that I can't see anything telling on the other side, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so that's probably just fine. I've done that, the span of, that's probably 1.5 inches at least. You can continue to do that if you like, if you think that's necessary. I'm going to go ahead and trim this off here and leaving maybe 1/4 inch. I don't want it to come loose. And I'm just going to do the same thing down here with this other tail where we began. And I make sure there's no gaps. I go down here and kind of make sure that there's no gaps and that this tension looks even. And I'm also choosing where I'm going to go up and down, in and out on this line right here. So again, you can see I'm going to go in underneath this main color strand, and I'm just wanting to follow along the up and down of the knit stitch that's already been created there. See, my tail is too long. I keep doing that. Okay. All right, then I'm going to go up right here, down right here, and I'm just following along that same stitch underneath. All right, and again, I'm going to go over and check the other side and just make sure that that I can't see where I've done that. And I'm going to trim that off. And then all I have left to do is weave in my very beginning cast on tail. And the way I like to do that is just to either, there's a couple different ways I've done it depending on how things look. You can either go in and out right along the cast on edge. And I usually do that for a couple of inches, and then I'll choose a ribbing row to go up into inside the hat. So right now I'm just kind of going back and forth in and out. And again, my tail's a little bit too long. So I've done back and forth in and out for a good 1.5 inches maybe. And then I like to go back in to the ribbing on so that it comes out the wrong side. And then I'm going to go up this knit column right here. Not all the way through, but I just kind of choose the inside leg and I weave in and out up through. Again, just do what you think works best. I just like to secure the edge of a hat. That's going to have some wear and tear on it right there on the brim, because that's where you grab to pull it on or pull it down or roll it up or whatever. So I just want to make sure that's super secure. All right, as I've mentioned several times in the videos, if you are interested in having this particular hat, you're welcome to enter the giveaway. I have a link down below in the video description for the Rafflecopter random giveaway winner picker. All right, so enter the giveaway down below if you're interested. And okay, so we're done. Be sure to post your finished projects on Finished Object Friday in the groups. I'd really love to see them. Again, if you're interested in entering the giveaway for this hat, the link for the Rafflecopter entry system is down below in the description. I'll be happy to mail this to you. A quick note about that though, I do have pets. We do not smoke, but I do have pets. And so I will hand wash the hat in just a mild vinegar solution before I send it. However, I cannot guarantee that there won't be a stray cat hair because they wallow on my desk. So if you have allergies, please take that into consideration before you enter the giveaway. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed this knit along. Leave me a comment down below if you have suggestions for the next one, and like and subscribe. Check us out over on Patreon, and I'll see you next time.